Okay, and welcome to another live stream. My name's Vay, you're watching AI Evolved, and in today's video we are going to, we're going to be comparing the results of FLUX 1 Pro versus Midjourney version 6.1. So yesterday I signed up to FLUX 1 Pro via F.O.C.A.L. So F.O.C.A.L allows you to prompt within the browser, so you don't have to get comfy UI, and that can be a complex process, and install it locally. So we're just going to do it on the browser. It's quite simple, and in terms of the pricing, it's fairly good, but we're not going to get into that. I'm just going to get straight into the prompt. So in front of me I've done 10 different portrait styles, so anything from classic environmental portrait all the way to high contrast sports portrait and film noir portrait as well. And these styles were actually featured in my F.O.C.A.L guide. So if you haven't already, you can just navigate to aievolved.com/F.O.C.A.L and you'll get access to all of these, how to make amazing photos. So that's a surrealist style there. I'll zoom in, and then that's a classic old man, and of course they're not black and white, but yeah, that's just the first page of it, so you can get access to that when you wish. So yeah, we're going to get into it. So this is the first prompt. So a close-up portrait of an elderly storyteller, framed using the rule of thirds. The lighting is soft and warm, illuminating their deep wrinkles and capturing wisdom in their eyes. Shot at eye level with a shallow depth of field, a blurry, cozy library background as its backdrop. Okay, so I've not used weighting here to make it as applicable as possible, or any other Midjourney specific parameters. I've tried to keep it open, so that should help things along. So we're just going to copy that, and this is how you basically use FLUX 1 Pro. So just copy it, paste it, and then you get all of these different settings here. So a number of inference steps. So basically, if you go higher up on that scale, this is the amount of processing that will actually happen before the final image is rendered. Seed, of course, that speaks for itself. That's a unique identifier for that particular image. And then you get guidance scale as well, which allows for how closely you want it. So I guess from a Midjourney perspective, this is stylization, right? So the lower you have on stylization, the more in likeness it is to your prompt without adding a Midjourney default aesthetic. But the higher you go up on that, the more so it adds that Midjourney aesthetic, and the less inclined it is, or the less direct it is in relation to your prompt, of what you prompt with. So that's basically the equivalent there for Midjourney. But for FLUX, I like to keep that. I've been experimenting with this, and I found that having a guidance scale of around 12, just about over the sweet spot. Yeah, basically just over the middle is the perfect medium from what I found. And yeah, we're just going to keep it at 1 and see what happens. Now this takes about 10 to 15 seconds or so to generate an image. So it's fairly quick, but I've noticed that the difference in quality is really exceptional compared to Midjourney. So while that's going on, let's copy and paste here and do the same thing. So these are my settings in Midjourney: 0 stylization, speed fast, to not expend too many GPU hours, going with the raw mode to make sure it's as realistic as result as possible. And then yeah, that's it. So we're going to enter that as well. And I'm just doing a one take. Usually I try and do 5 different renditions of it. So I'm just doing a one take wonder, and we're just going to see what happens there. Right, so this is what's come back. So my prompt was a close-up portrait of an elderly storyteller, framed using the rule of thirds. Lighting is soft and warm, illuminating their deep wrinkles and capturing wisdom in their eyes. Shot at eye level with a shallow depth of field, a blurry, cozy library background as its backdrop. So I think it's done a very good job in terms of I guess prompt coherency, which is or prompt coherence, which is basically in likeness to your prompt as much as possible. It's done a really good job. Now let's see what's come back with here. Now it did do a lot more close up, so it didn't show the face in its entirety, but it's done a good job nonetheless. It's definitely got a lot more wrinkles visibly present. But yeah, let me know which one you prefer, Midjourney in this case, or FLUX. So yeah, that's the Midjourney, and that is FLUX there. Okay, I personally think that if we're just like, let's say, judging the first image here on the left in Midjourney, because it comes out as a grid always. So let's just like judge this first image here and compare it to this image. I'd say in terms of like the realism of the face and the details, maybe because it's a bit more zoomed in, I would give it to Midjourney in this case. But I think in terms of the overall ambience and like mood, and especially with the bokeh, which is the background blur in the background, I would give it here to FLUX. But overall, I'd say Midjourney comes out on top just because of this a little bit better detail with the face. So that's FLUX for classic environmental portrait. Now we've got underwater adventure portrait. So this is an environmental portrait of a marine biologist in a wetsuit featuring leading lines of coral reefs. Now, these technical things of like leading lines, etc., that's explained in depth within my guide. So you can get that by navigating over to ai-evolved.com/focal guide if you haven't already. And for those of you on my email list, I'll be emailing them out to you again. I'll include it actually in a link if you haven't already got the focal guide, but you should at this point. And that'd be one of the reasons why you're on my list to begin with. So the prompt reads then, featuring leading lines of coral reefs, underwater lighting creates an ethereal blue glow. Low angle shot emphasizes the subject's expertise. Focus on the diver's face with a medium depth of field showing colorful fish behind. Okay, so that's the prompt. We're going to copy that, put it into FLUX, and I'm not going to change the settings here too much. I'm going to keep it the same. So I've got inference steps at 50, which allows for as much processing as possible. Guidance scale, so I'm allowing it to go a little bit higher because I want it to see what FLUX can actually come up with rather than being too closely aligned to my prompt. And then we're just going to see what comes back. Safety tolerance, I'm not sure what that is. It says, okay, 1 being the most strict and 5 being the most permissive. For the general, I don't know what that is. Fortunately, I couldn't find the answer to that online, what safety tolerance is. If either of you guys know what that is, feel free to comment. But yeah, be good to know. So let's see what comes back. And I've gone with landscape 16:9 as well. Where are you guys tuning in from? Be good to know. Usually guys are from America. You guys are from America. A big viewership there. But yeah, be good to know. And then let's do the same prompt in Midjourney now. Yeah. So these are my settings. So Midjourney again, 16:9. Landscape. Style raw, 6.1 of course. No stylization, weirdness or variety. And I kept it to fast speed to not expend too many GPU hours. See what happens there. So that's really epic. Wow. I'm actually really impressed with that. That's going to be hard to beat. That is FLUX's version. Okay, this is good as well. Although it seems to me like it's less realistic and more fantastical. Like, I don't know about you, but the colors just to me seem a bit too perfectly made. The fish, the coral reefs, they're just a bit too perfect. And the face isn't anywhere near as clear as it was with FLUX, FLUX just looks like it's proper. It just looks really good. Although I have to say, of course, the detail with his hair and the water is completely off. So there's that. It's almost like he's standing in front of an aquarium rather than he's actually in the water, because he would be submerged, of course, in water. So you can't really see that. Yeah, it's a shame. But realism-wise, his face is better. But color reproduction-wise, I'd give it to Midjourney. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Of course, like her face is really blue, so that's not really realistic. I think I would edge this to FLUX. I think I'll actually edge this to FLUX just because his face looks super realistic, more so than what came back with Midjourney. So yeah, that's that. Now let's move on to urban fashion editorial. So this is a street style portrait of a fashion model framed symmetrically against vibrant street art. Harsh midday sun creates strong shadows, emphasizing edgy makeup. Shot from a slightly high angle to elongate the figure. Sharp focus throughout to capture urban textures. So that is that. And yeah, let's see what happens there. And this time actually I want to experiment with flux. I want to go really low on the guidance scale. Now they recommend a 3.5, which is their default value, but yeah, I'm just going to go with 1. So it's basically, well, it should be in likeness as possible to what I've got with Midjourney, which is like 0 stylization. Right, so let's see. And inference steps, I'm going to go somewhere in between as well. They recommend, because they have a default value of 28, so I'm going to go shy of that and go 20 this time. So 20 on the inference steps and 0 on the CFG, which is the guidance scale. See what comes out there. While that's going on, let's do the same at Midjourney. So this is what's been made so far. These were Midjourney images for this one, which was an environmental portrait, or underwater adventure portrait. And those were the results there. And then within Flux, we had something else. But yeah, this was come back. I'll go through the requests later within Flux. But yeah, this was come back for this one. I think this is really good. It's going to be very hard for Midjourney to beat that, I believe. Really, like, supremely striking detail on the face. And good bokeh as well in the background. Let's see. Okay. I think Midjourney wins this easy. I think it does. Like, even just if we just compare the first image, it's so much more striking detail with the shadows and the contours of her face as well. They're much more visually appealing and stand out. This one, although it's more evenly lit, it's got more of a diffuse light into it, which is like evenly spread across the image, I guess. It has got better bokeh, which is background blur. But this one, yeah, it's just much more dynamic with its shadows. And I think shadows really do add a lot of richness to your images. So it's always good to even include shadows in as part of your prompts, because that can really add detail to your images. But yeah, this one, I'd say face-wise, I'll give it to Flux. But shadow-wise and overall feeling, vibe-wise, I'll give it to Midjourney. It depends on what you value. If you value, like, I guess, photorealism in terms of the detail of the face, the texture of the face, then Flux is the best bet. If you value more dynamic details, shadows and contrasts, and more of a feeling in your image, then Midjourney is the one. Just from what we've explored so far, you know, over these different styles of classic environment portrait, underwater adventure portrait, and now urban fashion editorial. So now we're going to get into vintage portrait, which is a vintage inspired portrait of a jazz musician using negative space to draw attention. Dramatic chiaroscuro lighting highlights facial features, captured at a low angle to convey power. Shallow depth of field blurs a smoky club backdrop. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that word. Chiaroscuro, I think, or chiaroscuro. But yeah, it's a unique form of lighting. You can see here. So basically, like, light and dark are used within the image, and this really makes the image stand out. So I guess, like, what I've been using now is being one-dimensional with the lighting styles I've been doing. So like hard lighting, or like soft lighting, or side lighting. These are usually like one-directional in nature. They have like lighting just from one particular side. So it's either like bright, or it's coming in from one side, but it's not multifaceted. So it doesn't have both dark areas and light areas simultaneously as the whole image. But this one does that really well. So that's like a backlighting, because you can hardly see the person if I zoom in. But then this There's like elements of side light in there. And yeah, it really brings out the image. So that is that. So let's copy this. Paste it here. Two other models as well. What do you mean with that? Two other AI models or two other models of the people? What do you mean by that? Proceed, please. Okay, this is epic. This is really epic. I'm actually really, really taken back by this. It's amazing. Especially the fourth one. You know, the contrast there between the left and the right and the smoke. It's really amazing. Puts you into the image as the viewer for sure. Now let's see what Flux come back. Okay, a lot more realistic. Again, I think, with Flux at least, better details on the face from what I'm seeing. But with Midjourney, better overall ambience is created. So Midjourney wins on ambience, but with facial details, it seems as though the consistent theme, at least, is that Flux wins when it comes to the face and the detail of the face. You zoom in there, it's a bit better. Of course, it needs to be upscaled. These aren't upscaled, so you're still not going to get amazing details as you would be if it was upscaled. But yeah, overall, the vibe in Midjourney wins compared to, you know, the face focus with Flux there. Yeah, I know. They released two other models, Prasad. I'm choosing Pro because it's the best model. So if we compare the best of the best, you know, with Flux compared to Midjourney, because everyone says, you know, Midjourney is superior to anything else, right? So let's put that to the test with the best possible model, which is Flux 1 Pro. So that's why I'm using Flux 1 Pro. If you'd like me to, you know, create future videos, Prasad, on Flux, yeah, let me know. And others as well, so not just you. But if there's enough demand for it, then I'll create another video exclusively just for that. But yeah, that's that. So moving on, we've got minimalist fine art portrait now. So a minimalist portrait of a ballet dancer employing the golden ratio in composition. So I'm just quickly just going to demonstrate golden ratio composition, because I didn't go through this in the guide. Yeah. So let's go here. So there's multiple ways basically to dress up an image. Like you can see here that they focus that the subject is there, but to simplify this, because there's obviously a lot going on and it looks like an Einstein equation more so than an image, you've got like two vertical lines and you've got two horizontal lines, and that forms a 2x2 grid typically. And to the left of that particular horizontal line there, no, sorry, vertical line, yeah, to the left of that particular vertical line there would be like offset. So that would be using the rule of thirds. So what they've done is they've added this swirling, yeah, to guide that particular vertical line, so you can more easily position a subject if it's like a distant shot. So this would be perfect to use when you've got distant shots. Like it's called an ultra wide shot, I believe, or just a wide shot, wide angle shot, or wide angle view, so that you can actually capture the subject in their entirety, as well as use that in combination with rule of thirds effectively. So that's what golden ratio is. At least that's what I take away from it. So yeah, you can see another example there, same thing. So it's good for distant shots when you want to use that in combination with rule of thirds. So that's good there. So that is that. So let's see what happens now with this. So immediately I'm getting the feel that, you know, the ambience here is a lot better in Midjourney. Like immediate, especially the first one. It's really good. To really get the most out of the golden ratio, I should have done like a medium shot or like a ultra wide shot instead. But yeah, I wanted to kind of keep it open just by using that particular composition technique. How would it fare? But yeah, it didn't unfortunately do that. I guess these are portraits, so they are going to be typically zoomed in more than normal anyway. But yeah, I think in terms of ambience, it's done well. And here, face again. The face absolutely kills it when it comes to flux. Really, really supremely detailed. Not an inch wrong with her face. Amazing. At least with like Midjourney, when you zoom in, you can tell the face is off in some regards. So you have to do several reruns to get it right. But with, yeah, I mean, Midjourney, the ambience is better, but Flux, yeah, I think it wins out in facial detail. So it depends on what you value. As I say, if you value more atmosphere, then go with Midjourney. If you value more like facial detail, then go with Flux. But that is that. So that was minimalist fine art portrait. So far, we've tried vintage portrait, urban fashion editorial, underwater adventure, classic environment. Now, minimalist, yeah, they've done that. So now we're going to do a surrealist conceptual portrait. So this is a surreal portrait of an avant-garde artist framed with intersecting geometric shapes. Colourful studio lighting creates an otherworldly atmosphere. The Dutch angle adds to the unconventional feel. Deep depth of field ensures all surreal elements are in focus. So deep depth of field is basically even focus throughout the image. The Dutch angle was like in that famous Mission Impossible restaurant scene where Tom Cruise's face was like tilted to the side. That's Dutch angle. So a Dutch angle. You can get an idea here for what I mean. Basically, that was the Dutch angle scene where like the camera's kind of tilted to the side there. So that's what that means. Yeah. So let's see what this comes out like. So yeah, again, inference steps, it recommends 28. I've gone with 20. And that's the amount of processing that it does before the final image is rendered. And guidance scale, lower you go on that, the more prompt coherent it is. So I've gone with 1. And then yeah, we're just gone with 1 as the number of images. And then safety tolerance, I don't know what the heck that means. So if you know what that means, feel free to let me know. But otherwise, that's that. Let's see what happens there. Okay. Okay, press that. So you tried Devon Pro model, and I was anyways going to compare it and share, but I thought you were online, so I thought of messaging you and see the difference and get your opinion as well. Cool. What did you find the difference to be between the Dev and Pro models, Prasad? Because from what I saw online, at least it was quite similar. It wasn't too dissimilar. But Pro did win out a little bit in terms of just like visual fidelity, especially in regards to the faces. That's what I found. But yeah, what are your differences? It'd be good to know. Okay, so this is what's come back there. This is really, really good. It's definitely picked up the geometric shapes, intersecting geometric shapes. It's definitely got the good, colourful studio lighting. And it's got a little bit of the Dutch angle. If we go back to the Tom Cruise's reference, that's like a proper Dutch angle, but that's quite zoomed in as well. So that would probably be a better comparison there to compare Dutch angles against. Yeah, so I think this is done really good. And I'm very impressed by the level of detail again when it comes to the face. So that is definitely amazing there. Where are you guys tuning in from as well? And what would you like to see going forward as well? Have you guys tried Flux yourself? Okay, this is This is very impressive. Yeah, with ambience. It nails it with ambience. It really does. Really good. I would say this compared to that. Yeah, Flux wins again. I think Flux wins. It has more depth because, you know, it's showing the geometric shapes appearing in front of her. And then in the back, she is actually in focus. So that's really great. I did do deep depth of field, which means everything should be evenly in focus. So I did actually do its own kind of rendition of that a little bit, because that would mean that that would be in focus as well. That top part of the geometric shape. That's what a deep depth of field would imply. So it hasn't done that, but I think it's done an overall good job. So yeah, facial detail wise goes to Flux again. Atmosphere wise, it goes to Midjourney. Yeah, that's for sure. Flux wins, yeah. It seems that way, that's for sure. Prasad. Definitely seems that way. Yeah, so that's that. So now we're going to do a higher contrast sports portrait. So a gritty black and white portrait of a boxer using tight framing to convey intensity. Rim lighting emphasizes the muscular definition, shot from a slightly low angle to amplify strength. Sharp focus on determined eyes with wrapped hands slightly out of focus in the foreground. Okay, so that is that. I'm just going to go with 10 on that guidance scale rather than 0 this time, because we've been on 0 for the last few examples. And yeah, let's see what happens there. Okay, so that's what Flux has come back with. Really good. Captured a lot of good detail. Really amazing. I have to say, like, I'm so impressed with the level of detail on the face. It always like pales in comparison to Midjourney. But yeah, this is good. Usually, in this case, Midjourney is actually one, I'd say, in terms of detail of the face. But usually, Midjourney is very good at atmosphere and not so good at the face aspect, as you can see from these previous examples that we've done. Very good at atmosphere, but not so good at the face usually. So that's that there. So yeah, that's Flux, and then this was Midjourney again. That's really, really epic. It's even got, I think, a little bit of, yeah, shallow depth of field on his gloves, a little bit of blur, shall we say. So that's good. Moving on. Ethereal natural light portrait. So this is a dreamy portrait of a young poet in a flowering meadow composed with a rule of thirds. Golden hour backlighting creates a halo effect. Captured at eye level for intimacy. Extremely shallow depth of field blurs colourful bokeh of wildflowers. That's that. It seems that actually increasing the guidance scale made it slightly better this time around, because before I had it at 0 exactly. So yeah, I wonder if that's got a part to play there going forward. And if you haven't already, I'm going through a focal framework in this video, and all of the, you know, compositional elements as well as like photography techniques are outlined in this guide. It's 37 pages, so you don't want to miss it. If you've already got it, I'll email it to you after this live stream. If you haven't already got it, just feel free to respond to my last email that I sent out. But otherwise, yeah, you can put your email in and you'll get access to it in no time. So that's that. So this is what it's come back with. And it's really good. It's done well in this case, both with the ambience and a little bit with the face. Although not as good as previous results, I have to say. This is not the most impressive. But it's still good regardless, I think. It's definitely passable. Let's see what it comes out with on here. Yeah, so it's free for one image, Prasad. But then after that, you have to pay. So I paid $20 yesterday. And I think that gives me access to, I think it's like $1 for 20 images. So $20 should equal like 400 images, something like that. So yeah, that's a fair amount of images, I guess, for just $20. I don't know. I think my maths is quite bad, so it may not be a right figure. Yeah. All right. This is what's come back with Midjourney, and it's done a really good job. So I really like the, the golden hour feel from the sun coming out, and then how that's really in focus, the fields. And I like the side profile view of the subject there. It's really impressive. This one as well, really impressive. I like the color reproduction of these images, more so than the color reproduction of this image. Yeah, golden hour backlighting definitely wins on both images. It's picking that up really good. And it's got a bit of the halo effect there with the back of her hair. The sun hitting the back of her hair. It creates that bit of a halo effect going on. It does here as well, to be fair. But yeah, I'd say, I don't know, this is a really tricky one. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to give it to Midjourney here, because it's not done too bad with the face either, especially this first one. It's not the worst. And it's also like blurred it out at the front there, a little bit of the meadows. But then it's kept that in focus in the middle ground, and the background's blurred as well. So that's like the foreground, that's the middle ground, and then that's the background. So it's got a really nice variety of blurriness there. And then this good halo effect with the sun hitting the back of her hair. And yeah, just an overall good image. So yeah, Midjourney wins out in that regard. So that's that. Now I'll do a film noir portrait. And before we get to that, actually, let's do a corporate environment portrait. And then that will be the last one, the film noir portrait. So an editorial portrait of a tech CEO framed within sleek office architecture. Cool high-key lighting emphasizes a futuristic feel. Shot from a high angle to showcase the subject in their environment. Deep depth of field keeps both subject and innovative office space in focus. Okay, so we're going to take this, put into the mixer of Flux, and these are my settings again for those of you that recently tuned in. So inference steps are 20. It recommends 28. So inference steps is basically the number of steps to perform when processing the image. So the higher you go up on that, presumably the higher quality it would be. The first example or two I did, I went up higher and I didn't necessarily find that to be the case. I found it to be relatively consistent. Guidance scale is a measure of how close you want the model to stick to your prompt. So similar to stylization, I guess, in Midjourney, the lower you go on that, the more prompt coherent it is, the more it listens to your prompt for what you've written. The higher you go up on that, the more it relies on a Midjourney default aesthetic, right? And it gets away from what you've actually prompted. So that's that. So these are my settings. And yeah, just copy this. Make sure I've got the right prompt. And then, yeah, let's go ahead with it. Completely free. Yeah, it's not free. I mean, I think it is free for one image generation because I was able to do one image generation Prasad. But then after that, yeah, you have to pay. So yeah, I paid $20 yesterday. I think you go to the dashboard and then you go pricing. So F.O.C.A.L. I'm right here actually. F.O.C.A.L/dashboard/pricing, something like that, and then you're able to get access to it just by paying. And I think you get access to like many more stable diffusion models as well. So it's pretty good. It's like a stable diffusion playground, if you will. You can try different models there. Okay, that's a very good picture. I like that a lot. It's a very good picture. Looks a bit too serious. And his eyes are actually a little bit messed up. If we super zoom in, they're like bulging a little bit too much. They almost look like alien eyes a little bit. I don't know. Oh, it's not good. Right. So Flux, it seems, is losing in this regard with this particular example. Let's see what happens in Midjourney. While that's going on, let's do this. See, I want to go low again on the guidance scale this time, and inference steps I'm just going to keep to, they recommend 28, so I'm just going to do half of that, which is 14. See what happens. And yeah, run that. So that is the film noir, which is the last example. And this was the previous example there of corporate environment portrait. And yeah, the eyes are a little bit off, as I said, but let's see what Midjourney has come back with there. So this is a lot better, I think. It's definitely captured the high angle because there was no, obviously, sign of that in this image. This looks more like a little bit low angle, if anything. A little bit in between eye level to low angle, this shot looks. So yeah, it's a bit of a disappointment there. But yeah, Midjourney's definitely improved, version 6.1 to 6, because I remember I would do this in Midjourney 6, and I don't know about you guys, but the latter part of my prompt wouldn't be picked up as well, and so I would have to really rely on weighting, right? You know, when you use like colon, and then you have the numerical values between like 1 and 5 or 1 and 6, so I'd have to do that a lot in Midjourney, so 6, that is. So Midjourney 6.1 seems to do a better job of that, for sure, like dealing with slightly longer prompts. But I don't know what your guys' experience has been, so it'd be good to know. Yeah, high angle there is really good. Face again is a little bit, you know, messed up. But overall, I'd say I still give this to Midjourney, because I know you can do some like in painting to fix some things, or you could even do creative subtle or creative. Yeah, upscale creative or upscale subtle to get rid of the issue. But yeah, I'd say I'd give this to Midjourney just because it's captured a bit more of the prompt, specifically with the deep depth of field part and also the high angle part. So that is that. And then this is the last one, film noir portrait. This is probably the best one out of all of them, to be honest. This is incredible. Wow. So detailed. Unbelievable. Wow. Okay. Let's do the same now. Here. And this will be the final one. So these were my settings in Midjourney, in case you guys are curious. So no stylization, weirdness, or variety. Fast on speed, 6.1, and raw mode as well. That's that. Yeah, see, ambience-wise, Midjourney always kills it. So good, typically. That's his strength, ambience. Facial features is good in close-ups, but when you go a little bit more out, like medium shot, that's where Flux typically wins. So yeah, if you're looking for something where you're looking for both atmosphere of the image, but you're also looking for facial details, that's when I would go with Midjourney. If you're looking for more just facial details, but you're not necessarily concerned about the atmosphere, and you're looking for more of a medium shot or even more distant shot, that's when I would go with Flux One Pro. Okay, and I'm only trying out the Flux One Pro model. I know Prasad on this chat mentioned that there's other models, and I'm aware of that as well, but I thought that we would just compare the best model of Flux, which is Flux One Pro, to the best other image Gen AI tool, which is, of course, Midjourney 6.1 at this time of streaming. So that is that. So those are our, well, that was our last example there of film noir portrait. This one, let's see, open. Yeah, this one versus these. And that's it. We've gone through, 10 different portrait styles today. It's been a fairly long live stream compared to usual, but I hope you've got some insights in this stream. And if you have, feel free to leave a like and let me know what you'd like to see going forward. I can answer any questions as well if you have right now. I'll stick around for about 5 minutes or so, but yeah. In your live section, if you upload those, then we can check those as well. Just saying, but that's completely up to you. All right, that's cool. Thanks for that insight, Prasad. I would also begin like emailing out to the list, these live streams. I just wanted to do a few practice live streams first because, it's been a while. I hadn't done live streaming before. So this is my third live stream, like in quick succession within a week. So I'm hoping to just get to grips with it again. And then I'll be emailing it out to you in case if you are signed up to my email list, of course, so you don't actually miss future live streams. So stay tuned to that. And if you've got any questions now around like the F.O.C.A.L guide, if you've got access to it, don't forget you can go and get access to it now, ai-evolve.com/F.O.C.A.L-guide. That'll give you access to it. 37 pages, of course, and you will learn all of the basic photography techniques and F.O.C.A.L as well. So you can take your prompting, specifically your portrait styles, to the next level, because I have 10 different portrait styles in there as well covered. So yeah, it seems as though there's no more questions, so I'm going to leave it here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And until next time, I've been Vay, and peace.